For the last 2 weeks I went berserk mode, starting a Age of Sigmar army with just 500 points on hand and 2 weeks away to get a fully painted army ready for a 2-day premiere Age of Sigmar event. I've learned a lot of things, what to do, what not to do, how did the cities of Sigmar do, what I would never do again. So I made some notes for myself, and in this video I'm going to share all of them with you. And this is the diary of a wargamer. Thanks for tuning in. You're watching John, the Weekend Wargamer, reporting my last 2-day event at the biggest Australia Age of Sigmar event, Call to Glory 2024 at Cancon. Wonderful event. Lots of things happened. Met a lot of new people, including an incredible amount of door prizes and mercs at Cancon. Just for the Age of Sigmar event, not the actual Cancon. So, in this video I'm going to share with you all my experiences, or as much as I remember, because the last 2 weeks has been a bit of a blur. So somehow I was convinced, between my own thoughts and some of my friends that I play Age of Sigmar with, to convince me to go to Cancon, which was a lot of fun, and also to bring my new Cities of Sigmar army in. Well, that all sounds good, right? What's the problem? The problem is that I only had about 500 points painted, and in order to get into a proper Age of Sigmar event, you need 2,000 points fully painted and based. And in case those of you who don't know how big this ordeal is, I kind of think of it as equivalent to moving a house. It's a big deal. And from that experience, I am calling it berserk mode. When you go all in, all out attack, attacking those armies and making it look as good as possible while sacrifice your life, your happiness, and your energy for 2 weeks straight. So in this video I'm going to talk about how was my experience going berserk mode, what I learned from going berserk mode, and then as a result, because I went berserk mode, how did I do with my army, and what I learned from it, and hopefully this can help you either laugh at my failures together or learn something together, because that's the only reason I started this channel. What's the challenge here? Well, the challenge is, in order to enter an official GW event, in this case a premier Age of Sigmar event, all your armies have to be painted and based. And well, what does that mean? So for example, I've got some models here. Talia, who I just painted for this event, is fully colored. It's got a lot of colors and it's got basing on it, which means it's got some basing material. And so that will be painted and based. She is Ilario the Everqueen. I love this model, but just for the context, she is not painted. It's all grey plastic, and this, you can see there's no base, no texture on it, just plain black base. In order to play in this event, all your units have to be painted to a good standard so you can fill them on the table, as we got in the player pack. So I signed up, picked a list, and then off I went. And then from that on, all I saw was blood rage in my eyes and my paintbrush, just trying to get stuff done. Vlog update check-in. There's 2 more days to go, and then for the big event, a quick sanity check. Don't do it to myself next time. I'm reminding myself, let's not go berserk, because the repercussion of going berserk is pain and suffering. I wouldn't wish it on anybody. So as a part of my last video, if you don't see that, check that out in the link. Picked what I thought was going to be viable, and then I did a quick test on the Cavaliers to see whether it is possible to achieve what I set to do, and I quickly learned that it wasn't. It took me way more time than I anticipated just to do 1 Cavalier, and to do 2 units of 10 models, that's going to be insane. So I changed my list, and also changed what I can put in the rest of my list besides the Cavaliers. For example, Pontifex Sinistra, I really wanted to include her, but I just wasn't going to have the time to paint her to a standard that I'm happy with, so I end up dropping her as well. And then another one that I dropped was Command Corps. Super important unit, even for battle tactic, which is, counts for a lot. I couldn't do that because I quickly realized I don't have the mental capacity to do it, because that's 1 unit with 6 models that's completely different, meaning I need to decide on the paint schemes, decide on the paint, decide how they should look and feel. Usually that's a lot of fun to do this, but within a very tight time frame, I found in my own experience, I don't do them justice, I don't have much of a good time, and they don't look half as good. So I decided to drop them as well, which is dropping a whole heap. And then In the corner of my mind I thought, why don't I run Ionis? Because Ionis is a very cool model. He's a big dragon. I love dragons, and I haven't been running Storm Drakes, so this is going to feel my dragon itch, so I decided to include Ionis as well. Based on my experience of painting Cavaliers and the Stormcast models, I thought naively that painting Ionis would be much easier than painting a whole bucket of Steel Helms or Fusiliers. Right, so that was my plan. As soon as I started though, I realized I made a mistake, or more than one in this case, because even though I toned down the complexity of my painting scheme, it was still a lot more than what I could chew in one bite. For example, the first unit I painted was the Cavaliers, and the Cavaliers ended up taking much longer time than I expected, and here's why. The player pack says 3 colors, but I love painting as a process, and I want to give the City of Sigmar justice by painting them nicely. Now, as a theme of City of Sigmar, so there are people from all different types of backgrounds, and they look different, they feel different with all their own individualisms. That's going to show through in the models. Unlike Stormcast, where you've got a unit of 10 Judicators, they just look all the same. But these guys, completely different. So I want to give them different colors. I love the default box art, which is the Hammerhull Akshi. All red, black, silver, and gold. Love it. So that was my scheme, and then to throw off an off color, I have some tones of brown and orange as well. I don't want to go full orange, because in my mind, City of Sigmar is kind of in a barren, dangerous place, and it's more rocky, so I want to give it more of a brownish tone. Okay, so that happened. Now, the Cavaliers took way more time than I wanted, and I didn't even finish them properly, so I didn't varnish them, I didn't put on the flags, the transfers, and there's some guys I didn't even finish the rest of the horse, because at the back of the Cavalier, in the back of the seat, they have a dangling decoration piece. That was just more complexity, and I couldn't paint them. And some guy's helmet I just lost and didn't have time to find it again, so I didn't paint that neither. So it was like incomplete, but good enough. And luckily, the next model I got fully finished was this bad girl over there. She was a lot of fun. She was the best fun that I had in all of my painting of the City of Sigmar army. So if anyone who wants to just paint one model in the City of Sigmar list, I would highly recommend Talia Vetra, the Linus of the Parch. At that point, when I realized I was starting to struggle, I quickly started whining to my friends who was kind enough to listen. Shout out to John Pham, my friend in the Age of Sigmar community. He decided to help me out. He would also paint an Ionis and lend his Ionis to me, so that I don't have to go through the stress of painting everyone plus Ionis. So that was great, which means I had one big model, 400 points worth to paint. That usually would take me 3 to 4 days. So given I only had 2 weeks, that was a lot of help. With the Cavaliers done and Linus of the Parch done, there wasn't too much obstacles, or so I thought, until I started the Fusiliers. So before I went through the Fusiliers painting scheme, I was hoping to bring 30 Fusiliers, and then after testing Cavaliers, I realized I could not paint 30 Fusiliers properly, so I downgraded my list to just 20 non-cannon instead. Based on my experience, my final outcome for painting one Fusilier and base it, it's about 1.5 hours to 2 hours per one model, which is a lot. A lot. Well, I think it's a lot. And that's through speed painting. Now what that means is I don't highlight them, I just block out everything to the best of my ability so it doesn't look terrible. And that's what I've done.
Been trying to paint 6 hours tonight to get my Fusiliers done. My was to get 10 of them done, so I only have 10 left plus a hero, but that totally failed. I've only done 6 Fusiliers out of 20, and I'm running out of time. Now I've started to seriously question my decision to do this with the Age of Sigmar. I mean, the City of Sigmar guys, and my brain is not working. Everything's starting to become funny. I look forward to seeing my future self in 3 days' time, how much further I can push before I break mentally, and that my wrist breaks as well. After about me thinking I can just push through it by sheer willpower, that doesn't work. Oh my god, I don't even know why I'm finding this funny. I've just been painting too many hours of City of Sigmar. So, anyone who's watching this, don't do this. Don't.
So I had to base just before I went on the trip to Canberra, and it was carnage. It was just pure carnage. I hardly slept enough. My brain is running on like 30, maybe like 40% capacity, and painting wasn't fun anymore. It was just a chore that I had to do, and I felt like I couldn't stop, which is why I kind of dubbed it Berserk Mode. My hand is just going on autopilot, my wrist was hurting, my back was hurting, my neck was hurting, and I was asking myself the whole time, why did I commit to this? What on earth was I thinking? And I kept going and going and going. So now let's talk about Call to Glory 2024 at Cancon. So this video is not going to be about the Cancon. I think I'll make another video for this because otherwise this video will get way too long. So I'm just going to focus on my experience on going to Berserk Mode and the effect it had in the event. Going to Cancon without adequate sleep and sleeping arrangements, I was exhausted. And I think that's a direct result to going Berserk Mode and switching Berserk Mode on, because the kickback was so hard that I felt like I kind of lost half the battle before I started. Example, in my list, I have a Gravetide. Gravetide is a spell that blocks a lot of space, which is going to cover my flank, and also works against a big horde army. I wish I did, because I was playing goblins 2 times. If I had the Gravetide against those squigs, maybe it would have turned out a little bit different. Maybe. Yeah, maybe he would dispel it, but I'll have a very effective tool to deal against that. So effectively, I sacrificed my Triumph, and I didn't get the bonus of the Endless Spell. Fail. Up until I played the second game, I realized I still didn't know what all the armies and things can do. So for example, I didn't know what all the abilities do. In the first game, I lost because I didn't know how to do suppress fire. I just missed some mechanics. That happens, okay. I realized I missed some battle tactics. Duh, that's super important. There's one for cities that just requires to charge into an objective that our opponent controls. As long as it made the charge, it's good. Super easy. Did not do it because I didn't remember. And I didn't have time to learn it. And some of the orders as well, because I end up thinking so much about what the orders are, instead of focusing on what I should do in that situation, I end up just wasting brain power to recite and recall stuff. So not cool. Yeah, I wouldn't do that again. There were legitimately about 6 instances because I did not know my army very well, because I didn't get a chance to really practice them, play them, or even get too familiarized with them other than reading the initial battle tome. That really put me on the back foot in the perspective of wanting to win, right? Just have fun, totally cool, but wanting to win, it's a lot harder when you don't know what's going on, especially if you don't know how to score. So that's one. Now, the second thing is fatigue and stress is really a thing. I mean, my body didn't really wind down until the second day of Cancon, so after 3 games. And the problem with that is the body's so tired, it kind of like hits you on one go. It's like you don't sleep for a day, and then you just buff yourself with coffee, and then once your body relaxes, you just crash completely. So I did that in my 4th game against Gitz from Chris Moore's amazing Gitz army. Oh, his army was so good, just worth mentioning. It was so good and very fun to play against. But I was out of steam. Yeah, I was on the verge of destruction, self-destruction at that point. Now, why I could say that is, on the 4th turn, which is super important because we were playing all 5 rounds, I forgot to move. Can you believe it? I forgot to move 60% of my army. I only moved the Fusiliers and a couple of heroes. That's all I did, and I forgot to move them. And so what that meant was I lost a whole turn of objectives and movement, and I lost the game by 1 point. Kudos to Christo, he played really well, and he was a real nice guy. But I was kind of begging him in a way, like, please let me. Is it okay if I move? But if if you're not okay with it, that's cool. I was working through it myself. But having said that, we were really good on both sides. We were tight with the rules. If we missed it, right? Because it's a serious event, so that happened. But I was just like, smashing myself. Why did you do that, John? So, yep, that happened. And I missed the press fire a few times. Missed as in I forgot to activate suppress fire, because suppress fire is when if one unit targets an entire unit, all the attacks targets that unit, and then you roll a bravery roll. If you pass that bravery roll, they strike last, which is a huge deal. Huge! Did I remember that? No, because I played Gits twice. If I remember that would have made a huge difference. Huge, because then I could charge into everything. Anyway, right, it's over now. You can see I'm still a bit worked up of my guilt. No, of my own doing. Lesson. Because I was too burnt out and I didn't allocate my time to focus on the gameplay part of going to a 2K event and just focus so much on painting, I ended up having an army on the table, might look better, it was really hard for me to win. Not reading up on the synergies properly, like doing it because of my painting constraints. Like, for example, Talia has got a great ability to rally on the 4-up when she's in combat at the rally phase, and that unit that she's going to rally is also in the combat phase. Well, that sounds great, but because of my lack of painting speed, I couldn't field enough melee units, which means she pretty much never got her ability paid off. Well, I did it once, so I met my objective for Cancon. I just want to use that 4-up rally in combat, and I did it once, so yay. But besides that, that never happened. So I think that kind of sucks, big time. Because otherwise, I think she's only worth 220, 230 points. Not so high in points if you can't rally on the 4-up. Like if you can rally up like a big rank and file of Steelhounds, let's say 20, you lost maybe 10, 12 of them, you rally up on 4-up, they're going to last forever. But yeah, that didn't happen. Last but not least, I think the lack of time to paint the Cavaliers really hurt me, because my strategy was I have a Death Star or Circle of Death with my Fusiliers, even without the Pontifex, moving up the board slowly, and then I countercharge when something's in range, like because I can give +3 to move for Talia and the Cavaliers, and then they can have +1 attack on charge plus countercharge. So that was what's going on in my head. But because I only had one set of Cavaliers and Talia to do the 3+ charge and countercharge and +1 to attack when charge, it just didn't pay off. I think most of the people I played kind of know a little bit about cities, and they pretty much killed off the Cavaliers whenever they can. Yeah, so that was a total missed opportunity. So quickly jump to the end. I had 2 wins, 2 losses, and then a minor loss at the last game. I lost by 1 battle tactic. That was a really fun game, by the way. So I have no problem with losing. I had a good time, met some cool people, but you know, I just felt bad for myself. So I'm sharing this because I don't want that to happen to you, right? Yeah, don't go berserk mode if you're fully intending to enjoy the 2-day experience, because it's got so much to offer. You're gonna miss out a lot on the actual event if all your energy is burnt out from painting. Like you have sleep debt for like a week. That's not a good way to go, in my opinion, right? Would I do that again? No way. No way, Jose. And then last but not least, what I learned from all of this, definitely what not to do is to go berserk mode again to 2K events. Now here's why. My army was painted in a way that I was happy with, but it's definitely not good enough to get on the podium or even to be super proud of in terms of painting quality. But then I sacrificed the whole gameplay experience on the 2-day event. Like, on that level of brain power, I'm surprised I even won 2 games. I think it's just because the cities are really strong. Yeah, really don't recommend it. Like, for the effort, money, and time that you put in to commit to a 2-dayer like this, yeah, berserk mode is not cool for that. But what berserk mode is cool, that I learned from this, is that I can do it. So for some particular projects, to impress myself or my friends, or just to prove that I can, I might and probably will do it again for another army. But would I do it for the sake of an event with this amount of time? No way. No way. I think I would have much better time with my toys, with Age of Sigmar, if I prioritize having a good time at the event over painting itself. Now, last but not least, I would like to mention that Cancon was great. I really had a good time. Shout out to our organizer. So I'm here promising that I'm going to make another video just for the Cancon Call to Glory 2024 in a separate video. But it was a lot of fun. I really enjoyed it. It was so good, such that if my circumstances don't change, I'll probably go again next year. And I would love to go again next year. That was that much fun. And I thank you to everyone who I played. That was a lot of fun. So thank you to you all. So thank you, Zoran. Thank you, Piers. Thank you, Nick. Thank you, Chris. And thank you, James. It was a great game. Thank you for putting up with me because I didn't know the rules sometimes, so it took me a bit longer. You guys were probably agitated at some point. So thank you for bearing with me because no one complained, at least verbally. So thank you. I had a wonderful time, and I hope this video is of some help to you. And this is me, Weekend Wargamer, signing out.